Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the lines, who's up, who's down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big time way.
Welcome back to Spreadsheets Sports. Today's show is going to be all about team rankings for the NFL. Prepared a pretty good show for you guys, breaking apart AFC, NFC, top 10, 11 through 20 overall, and 21 to 32 overall. But I did another layer as well, is I wanted to show you not only who I chose for 1 through 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 32, but also show you why they get into that particular category. So anyway, we'll strap in. It's going to be a short show. I'm not going to hold up too much of your time. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. For those that are returning, for those that are here for the first time, I can't express my gratitude enough. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to you returning to the channel. If you do find value in the channel, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. But other than that, let's dive into it. And I also will have some more videos for everybody for the prediction for Thursday Night Football, along with Sunday games. We only got 14 games this entire week 5. But let's jump in and let's see where everybody lines up in regards to performance. All right. So this is like the first stage of my rankings. I wanted to share with you guys, and this is more so like a screenshot for anybody. And what this chart is showing you is just NFC and who is, I mean, could you say that they're number 1 to 17? Maybe. I'm sorry, 1 to 16? Maybe. And in that order, but this is the order I have. I think the Eagles are consistent. I don't think they're the real deal, but they're very consistent. The Lions, they actually moved down in rankings. They were up a little bit higher. Rams, same thing. And as you look at this chart and you screenshot it all the way to the far right where it says CHG, that's the change in rankings. I did a little something different for you this time. I have the rankings of all the coaches, and I calculated the coaching ranks within that, right, to influence the original ranking of performance. I also have the injuries of skilled players and the number of skilled players that are injured and the ranking of that, and how many wins they have, because some people are so stuck on the wins, but I gave you the wins as well, right? So looking at the wins, skilled injuries, performance, and win ratio, and the coaching ratio, right? This breaks down what I think the NFC looks like and who's the best in the NFC. It is, I mean, when you look at Green Bay, right, at number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they got 2 wins. Everybody else got 3, right? But I think performance-wise, they fit right in there where they are, especially with Matt LaFleur. They got a pretty decent coach. You could argue with the number 7 ranking for LaFleur, but again, my ranking is based off of wins as a coach in his career. So that's where I have him. Sean McVay and the Rams, they are doing well. You got a couple coaches that's in the NFC that's not doing well as a team. O'Connell, McCarthy, Dable, Jonathan Gannon. These are all somewhat decent coaches, but right now they're struggling with their team. Sirianni, Dan Campbell, Sean McVay, Ty Bowles, Matt LaFleur. Everybody that's there, I think, should be there. Matt McDonald, I mean, he is there with Seattle, and you gotta give him props. The product at Seattle looks pretty interesting, but this is my NFC idea of the ranking for just NFC, but we're gonna look at AFC and see how that breaks down as well. But feel free to give me any comments on this. But this is what you're looking at as you try to do matchups for the NFC. All right, so here's the NFC. I mean the AFC. With the AFC, I like the Bills, Colts, Chiefs, Chargers, Steelers, Jags, Broncos, Ravens, Patriots. In that order. In that order. The Bengals are right underneath the Patriots, but they should be a little bit lower. But if I was doing the rankings in, on my own, then I would put the Bengals lower. This is all based off the calculations from the data. Good coach, but Browning is not it. I think the Bengals are going to struggle while they're waiting on Burrow to come back if he does come back before the season is over with. Texans, great defense, production on offense is a challenge. Miami Dolphins, we all know. Hill being out, I thought was going to be a problem, but their running game stepped up and their slot and screenplay stepped up. So that's going to change things for the Dolphins. Just 2 weeks ago, they were talking about getting rid of McDaniel, but here we are now where maybe they have something. But I'm curious to see how they rebound, from not having Hill on the next game. Browns. Even though the Browns are as further down as they are in the AFC, you can't deny them on the defense. They are tough. It just sucks that they only got one win. Um, and the same thing goes for the Texans, the Dolphins, the Browns, and the Jets. The Jets were even more disappointing. I just knew the Jets could pull off that win Monday night, but nope, didn't happen. Um, those top five, top four at least: Bills, Colts, Chiefs, Chargers. The Chiefs are actually only this high because of the win against the Ravens. But they easily could be swapped out, and the Ravens would be number 3, and the Chiefs would be number 8 or 9, right? That one performance isn't enough for me, but it's enough for some fans because now they on some. I've heard some of the dumb fans that are Chiefs fans that are like, they're just so stupid because they're like, yeah, we put the NFL on notice. I'm like, from one game, like we barely was scoring 20 points. How you put the NFL on notice when you barely was scoring 20 points? That doesn't make any sense. They got a long ways to go to prove themselves. Right now, they're just not. They're not. They're not it enough for me, but this is the AFC layout. Again, I got the coaching rankings. I have the wins and the win rankings and how many people they have that's injured that are skilled players as well, and rank that. And along with that, the coaching ranking. Everybody pretty much has a good coach except for the Jags. I mean, I wouldn't say he's bad because they're putting together something down in Jacksonville, especially with Travis Hunter. Vrabel, he's pretty good. I like him. Um, he getting it done. Callahan for the Titans, they need to scratch everything in Tennessee and start over from scratch. Aaron Glenn with the Jets, they got the quarterback, they got some personnel, but they need a better coach, in my opinion. But that's where I'm at right now with the AFC, the NFC breakdown. Now let's look into the bottom 11 to 21, right? And then 21 to 32 and 1 to 10. And I'm gonna tell you why I think they should be there, right? But let's dive into that now and break that apart for the rankings. All right. So here's the bottom. Um, Cowboys, Bengals, Texans, Panthers, Giants, Dolphins, Browns, Cardinals, Saints, Titans, Raiders, and the Jets at the bottom. Um, I think a couple of these other ones could be at the bottom more so than the Jets. I would say that the Titans would be more so closer to the bottom, but the data calculations have it as this. Um, we got some good coaches down here in the bottom. And this is everybody. This is NFC mixed with AFC calculations. And as you see over to the left, everybody but the Cardinals and the Bengals have 2 wins. Everybody else has one or less. Um, and again, I don't rank based off of wins or losses, but this would say, and this would validate that bad performance is correlated to losses. The teams that are in 1 to 10, 11 to 20, you'll see the starch difference. But let's go over to, and you can screenshot this just for the sake of time purposes, but we're going to go over to looking at the categories of these teams just to see how they're doing in defense, special teams, penalties, turnovers, things of that nature. That also attribute to why they're in this bottom section. But some of them have actually been moving up. Like the Texans were at the very, very bottom, but now they're moving up. Panthers, I ain't sold on. Panthers probably should be number 31 next to the Titans. But yeah, but let's see what we got for the breakdown of how they did in the individual categories, which like I said will validate everything that you see here for the rankings. So this is the same list that you just saw, right? Now look at the categories and you see why they are in the bottom 11 to 20. I'm sorry, 21 to 32. So again, as you see the performance, Cowboys are up there at the top with performance. Dolphins are better on performance, but they just had that huge injury, so they had to take that into account as well. Um, Cowboys offense, arguably a number 5 offense. Their defense needs a lot of work. They're letting a lot of people score. Turnovers, they're doing bad with that as well. Penalties, they're doing bad, but that's the best of the 21 to 32 group, right? The Bengals with Burrow out. I don't expect that to get any better anytime soon. Um, Browns, I really, 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 really like. Their defense should be able to help them get through the rest of the season where they are keeping teams from scoring, and then they are trying to score where they can with Flacco. But this is what I got for the bottom of the rankings. But we'll look at the mid grade now, which is 11 to 20, and see where they are and why they're there as well. Here's your 11 to 20 in this order: Steelers, 49ers, Jags, Broncos, Falcons. Falcons was a little suspect to me because of losing to the Panthers and then they came back, but I still would rather rank them a little bit lower, maybe even have them in the 21 to 32. But there they are right there at number 15. Ravens underneath the Falcons, according to the data. That's hard to imagine that they're playing that bad with such a dominant team that they would be down there. Um, but they are the only team out of this group that only has 1 win. Everybody else has 2 or 3. The top 3 of this 11 to 20 have 3 wins. So you got to consider that as well. Um, Under the Ravens, you got the Commanders, Patriots, Bears, Caleb Williams, and the Minnesota Vikings that just lost to the Steelers. Um, with all of that being said, I somewhat agree with 80% of this list. 80%. I told you which ones I have a problem with, but again, we'll go and look at the categories they're doing good and bad in. Take a screenshot of this. This may help you with finding some underdogs that could win this weekend. Um, I think anybody in here could upset somebody, like especially the Broncos, the Ravens, the Commanders, especially if Daniels is back. Patriots, the way they're playing. The Bears, the way they're playing. The Vikings lost that game to the Steelers, but they still are a pretty good team, even though I'm not impressed by them, but they're still a good team. But anybody that's in this section that are blue, I see them being able to easily upset somebody, especially with these good coaches. Like, you got a lot of good coaches in this particular section. They're fighting to get out of this role, get some wins underneath their belt. It's week 5. Um, I know everybody that's on this list would appreciate a win to help them with their bracket. So let's look and see why these teams ended up where they are and validate the rankings for this. So when you break down this particular list and validating the 11 through 20 from the previous slide, here's where they line up, right? Steelers, number 11, number 10 in performance. They top 10 in performance. Like, take aside their record, but they're top 10 in performance. Offense, I don't really agree with the data on this, but I have to because numbers are the numbers. Number 23 offense with Aaron Rodgers, and they were doing pretty. They've been doing good out of the 4 games. They did excellent in two, one okay, and one not so good, which is why I don't really agree with the offense rank, and I don't agree with the defensive rank because they've been doing pretty good. Excuse me. And on top of that, Mike Tomlin always finds a way to win through a strong defense. They're great on turnovers. They hold on to the ball, and they're great on penalties. They're well disciplined. Special teams need some work. 49ers coming alive. 16 in performance, right? Number 7 in offense. McCaffrey is back in action. The Purdy situation is what it is. We'll see how he can make a contribution. The 49ers also do well with defense, which is interesting. Um, Turnovers, they're horrible. They're losing the ball too much, but with penalties, they're pretty disciplined. They need to do some work on special teams also. The Jags, Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, and many, many, many more. Number 21 in performance. They got some work to do. They need some more production. 18 in offense. I think that's a fair ranking on offense based on the data. And number 14 in defense. I think 14 is a fair defensive ranking. Number 5 in turnovers. They're doing pretty well. Not doing well with penalties. Not that disciplined, but they have a really good special teams unit. Broncos. Bo Nix. Man, number 11 in performance. I would have to agree with that. Number 11 in offense. I would probably rank them a little bit lower on offense because they haven't been lights out. I just wouldn't give them 11. It would be a little bit less than that. But number 2 in defense, woo, that's interesting. So they competitive like the Browns, right? Number 16 in turnovers and number 21 in penalties. So they got some work to do with being disciplined. The Falcons, I don't even like them at this spot at number 15, but they are where they are. Um, 13 in performance. That's on a good day, though. We saw what happened to them on a bad day against the Panthers, but that's where they are. The Ravens. Oh, God. Number 16. I probably would still have them higher if they, you know what I mean? Like, I see what they got, but with Lamar being out 2 to 3 weeks, defensive line, major injuries. I think one of the guys is out for the season on the defensive line. That's going to be a problem for the rest of the season. I looked at their schedule, and I'm counting like 3 more losses for the Ravens, which is not good being 1-3. Um, but it is what it is. I think they can win them. I think it's going to be 3 games that are really, really tight that they could lose in the next 5 weeks. And they are not that well on defense, as we all said. They're not great with turnovers, thanks to Derrick Henry. Number 5 in penalties. They're pretty disciplined, and they're great on special teams. Commanders, pending Daniels comes back. Number 17. Patriots, number 18. Really good product they're putting together. They're nice, even killed, and they're building upon that. They're dangerous. Bears, dangerous. Caleb Williams, they put together a really good performance all the way to the end, and they fought. And the Minnesota Vikings. As crazy as it sounds, they're number 27 in offense, even with the Justin Jefferson show. So they got a lot of work to do when that's your star player, and that's kind of what your offense is built around, that you still end up with a number 27 offense. They got to run more. But they got a pretty good defense. They got enough to hold you back so that they can do what they need to do on offense. But again, I'm not that impressed by the Vikings, but I can't take away the fact that they are still a threat. But this is the 11 to 20 group. Let's look at the top 10 and let's see how they match up and if they're validated as well. So here is our top 10, and in this order: Philadelphia Eagles, Buffalo Bills, number 3, the Lions, Rams number 4, Colts number 5, Bucks, Green Bay, Seattle, Chiefs, Chargers. I really don't, to be honest, I don't really have anything against this list that the data has calculated. Um, I know that the Lions are a serious problem mainly because they're doing as good as they are with all the injuries they got. Same thing with the Bucks. When Mike Evans come back, he gonna be a problem, man. The Bucks are gonna be a serious problem when Evans come back. Um, Chiefs injuries had a great game against the Ravens, and I gotta be honest, out of the rest of the season, the Chiefs are probably gonna lose like 4 to 5 more games. 4 to 5 more games. They lucky to even get in the wild card this year. I just that game against the Ravens was great, and I think they gave everything that they had, and there's nothing left. Rice is back either this week for 5 or he's back at week 6. If Rice is back this week with everything else that they've made improvements on, then maybe I'll give him a chance. But I got to see how that look first. And the Chargers, and that's the thing is why I think the Chiefs should be lower because the Chargers are actually better than the Chiefs, and they already beat the Chiefs. So the Chiefs actually should be changing places with the Chargers, and maybe even the Chiefs should be 11 to 20. But that's what I got. Let's validate that with the rankings of each category and look and see how each one of these top 10 add up and if they actually should be where they are. So Bills, Buffalo, 4-0. Number 1, number 2 teams. Will this be who we see for the Super Bowl this year? Bills and Eagles? Or is it the Lions and the Bills? I don't know. It's going to be tough to knock off the Eagles. They're pretty consistent. Again, I'm not a fan of them, but the numbers are the numbers, and I can't argue with the numbers. They're number 1 according to calculations, data, not my opinion. Can they maintain? I think they can. Will they? Is a whole nother question. Um, Rams doing good in all the categories, man. The Eagles aren't even doing. Do you guys see this? And you can screenshot it. You see this? The Eagles are number 1, but they're not doing that well in offense. They're not doing that well in defense. I haven't seen Saquon really have his breakout game quite yet. It's on the way. But I mean, they're doing good on turnovers. They hold on to the ball pretty well. They could do better with penalties, but not horrible. Special teams definitely need some work. And they got a number 18 coach on top of that, on the coaching staff for this particular metric. Not the head coach. Bills lights out except for defense. Remember I told you we were so excited and enamored by game 1 against the Ravens that not all of us, but a lot of us got banned. We got sidetracked because we were looking at the offense being so dynamic that we overlooked the defense. And this shows the Bills have a problem with defense. I don't know who's going to expose them on defense, but it's coming soon. They have a problem on defense, and they better recognize it and have some self-awareness and try to fix it before they get exposed. Everything else they're doing well in except special teams. They could do some improvements on that. Like I said, the Lions lights out everything except special teams. Same thing with the Rams, lights out everything but special teams. These guys are amazing. I love what the Rams are doing. The Colts, Indiana Jones, they got some work to do, especially on defense, but due to Daniel Jones and the rest of the offense, they got a number 4 offense based on data. Indiana Jones, aka Danny Dimes, that everybody hated in New York, but he's putting together a really great production performance right now. They could do better with penalties and special teams, and definitely their coaching needs to start making some adjustments and be a little bit better as well. That probably is going to be suspect for the Colts is making some bad the coach are making some bad calls. The Bucks, Mike Evans is out. They're doing still pretty good. Everything but coaching. Coaching might be a problem for them to make some bad plays. Calling some bad plays. But other than that, they're right where I think they would be. The Packers, heavy on the defense. Even their offense is good or good enough. The number 6 offense, according to data, impressive. Very impressive with Michael Parsons on the defensive side and number 11 defense. Not as good as the Browns defense. Not as good as the Rams defense. Not as good as the Lions defense, but the defense is better than the Philly, and defense is better than Buffalo. I'd love to see that game. I'd love to see that game in the playoffs. Packers fighting against either the Lions or the Eagles or the Rams. That's going to be a really good game in the offseason whenever we get around the playoffs, depending on who actually makes it. Seahawks, impressive and surprising are the two words I have for them. Kansas City Chiefs, still disappointed, but I mean, when you look at what they've been doing, number 9 offense, number 13 defense, number 8 in turnovers, number 15 in penalties, a lot of work to do with penalties and need to be more disciplined. Our defense has some holes. Don't look at the game against the Ravens and be like, "Oh, they do got a good defense." No, we got some problems on defense. Um, Number 6 and number 2 in special teams and coaching. So that's a plus. And then last but not least, the Chargers. Again, I say the Chargers are better than the Chiefs. They proved it. They beat them already. Can the Chargers beat the new improved Chiefs with the personnel additions / changes? And this new guy, Thornton, we got some mini stars lighting up in the Chiefs, but I still think the Chargers are better than the Chiefs. If they play them again, I think the Chargers beat them again. The Chargers had to get that one game out of the system and not look so good, which was what they went through, but they still a good team. But this is what I got. This is what I got for 1 through 32, and my reasons why they are where they are, along with the data and the calculations. Um, should be another good week of football. Week 5 should be very competitive. Um, But yeah, that's what I got. We'll see what happens. I've been making some more videos. One video is going to be the prediction for tomorrow night's game and some prop bets for that and money line possibly. And then I'll also put out the games for the weekend on Sunday. I'm going to post that video on Friday, and that way you'll have some time to review and do your own research based off of what you see. Um, but yeah, man, this the top 10, the killers, assassins. These are the guys right here. But do not overlook 11 to 20. Do not look over 11 to 20. They are some upset phenomenon just sitting in that 11-20 waiting to make somebody's day really, really bad. And that wraps up today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you walked away with some more information. Um, Rankings are always opinionated, for the most part. I try to get away from the opinionated part, and that's only because I do sports betting. So I really don't have the luxury of being wrapped up in emotions and opinions, which is why I like the data because I get to look at how many yards is your rushing attack getting? How many yards is your passing? How many yards is the defense not allowing? What is the quarterback doing? What is the running back doing? How many wins does this coach have? Like all of those things are pertinent to me because they are real. They're not an imaginative piece of information. So, um, but again, I would definitely like to know what you think the ranking should be. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoy your evening. Feel free to watch some of the other videos that are posted up here in the towels, whether it is the ranking from the last week or some of the previous games that I predicted, so you can see how I do the predictions. I know that the shows moving forward won't be as long because now that you've been with me for a little minute, you know how I think, right? When it comes to ranking or choosing a team. So I don't have to get so immersed in how I make the sausage. You just get to see what. and believe in it because I've showed you the process. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day, great evening, whichever time it is when you're watching this video, and I catch you on the next one.
Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the